So I thought, what I've discovered is that if you know why you're doing something, then the how makes sense. And if you're just kind of going by whatever the rote thing is, that it doesn't make sense. So here's some notes. This is an ESL master's in one page.
Okay, that's what your husband was referring to.
So people learn a second language in the same order they do their first. So if you start thinking about a baby and how they learn language and the order they go in when they learn language, it's different in that the concepts are there when you learn your second language. You know what water is, you just need a name for it, whereas a baby needs to know the concept of water. But it's still the same way. A baby first is silently soaking up language. It's going on all around them and they're not speaking. So we call that, one way to talk about that is the silent receptive stage. When you first walk into a language, you're soaking it in, you're not ready to speak yet, but it's in there, it's coming in. And then at a certain point you get an early production. It'll be one word, short sentences, present tense, very limited vocabulary, grammar's totally off, and that's okay. And then they move into a speech emergence where they're talking in short phrases, sentences, they may ask questions, they have a larger vocabulary. Now I darken those because talking with the ESL teacher, that's probably where our students are. She says they have no English. I've found that if a kid's been around in school, I mean even from September to now, they've got some English. But I'm thinking that these are the levels that we'll probably be working with.
Okay.
Intermediate fluency, now that's probably the level of the kids that you see regularly, are probably intermediate and advanced fluency.
Yeah.
You may see some speech emergence that would work with your program, but I'm thinking probably early production is where these kids are.
Yeah.
Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea. They may be working in present tense, they may be struggling with were, what is that, was, were, those kinds of things, but they're really not ready. So any correction, if you start correcting them, no, it doesn't have any meaning to them.
Okay.
And as far as error correction, I wouldn't worry about it. The way to correct an error instead of saying, oh no, you're wrong, no, say it this way, might be to repeat it correctly. So if they say, I were going to the store, you can say, oh, I was going to the store, or you were going to, so do it as just kind of repetition correctly, because at this point, if they're ready for it, they'll get it, but most likely it's just going to go over their head, and all it does is shut them down.
Right.
The thing about the silent receptive stage is people want the kids to talk, so they're trying to force them to talk, put them in front of the class and make them talk. That's a great way to keep them silent receptive and shut down everything they're doing. So you want to be as welcoming. Anything they say, you want to help pull it out, but you don't want to be forcing them to speak until they're ready. Affective filter, and as a teacher you know this, a frightened, sad, hungry child just can't learn. A comfortable, happy child can learn easily, and I think of it like this fence that goes up. I'm uncomfortable, nothing else is coming through, or so I've seen ESL teachers that had no skills whatsoever in teaching ESL, but they had a comfortable atmosphere and wonderful things happened. And I think in this program, one-on-one, keeping that affective filter low it's so important, and it's so easy to do one-on-one. So creating a really comfortable situation is more than half the battle, truly, it really is. Now, here we get some teacheries. Now you may know about the zone of proximal development.
No.
No? Oh, a fourth grade teacher? Second grade.
Just second.
Okay, well you know this, you just don't know that you know
Well,
this.
it's been a long time since I've been
There's
in
a
the
level
classroom.
that the kid can do by themselves. Okay, there's a level that no matter how much you help them, they just can't get it. Well, in between there is the level where they can do it with help.
Okay.
That's the level where learning takes place. So if you're working at a level where they can do it, you're not teaching them anything, they already know it. If you're pushing, like you push them to grade level stuff when they're not ready for it, you're wasting your time. So the thing to do is find that zone, the sweet spot, and that's where learning can take place. So our job is to find where they are and move them slowly and carefully on up. And they call that the zone of proximal development. So that's basically what we want to do, is find out where they are in the language, and then we want to move them through. And now the way we do that is by gradually releasing responsibility. So we start with I do. You know, you model. For instance, if it's a hard passage, I might read the words to them first. So I'm modeling what they do. And then we do. You do it together. You might read the words together. You might, so you're guiding them through it. We're doing it together. And then the final step is you do. So you start doing the modeling, you slowly move it out, so they're doing the work. But it's kind of a slow process. And that's how you get those steps through the zone. So that is half a master's degree. If you can do those things, you can do anything. What I want you to tell you, and I want you to believe this, is reading is making meaning of text. It's not barking words. So I had this one teacher tell me one time, I taught this kid how to read the word horse. And that's a difficult word to read because it's got the silent E, you know, and it's not an O, it's a weird. I taught him how to say the word horse. He can read the word horse. And I said, does he know what a horse is? She says, no. It's like, no, you didn't teach him to read the word horse. So you have to make meaning of text for it to be actually reading. So the problem is English speakers know the words, they just need to decode the words. And that's where things like nursery rhymes are great for English speakers. They've heard them a million times, and then when they decode the words, it makes sense to them. But you put a nonsense word in front of an ESL student, they don't know it's nonsense. You know, why would you? You think everything the teacher gives you must have made sense, right? So that's the big difference, is that with an ESL student, you've got to get the meaning in there. And the meaning means you're going to have to teach the language in order for them to understand it. So you can't just teach decoding, you've got to teach language. You've got to teach vocabulary, but you can't. So here's a book with 100 words. You're not going to teach them 100 words. You've got to pick the best 8, the best 5, the best 4, and really get those in there, because they say, research says it takes 12 meaningful encounters with a word before that becomes their own word. So you just can't say the word, read it, they're done. And you can't just have them repeat it 12 times because that's not meaningful. No. So you pick the important words, the words that are important to the text, that are important to their lives, the words that they're going to need in their life. It helps to go into the text multiple times. You read it once, you're not done. Go back through, read it again, look at the pictures, go back through and look at the words, pick out words that they know. Really go through it many, many times. Pictures are absolutely important. And you've got to concentrate on the meaning. So nursery rhymes, they've never heard the hey diddle diddle diddle. Nonsense words like Dr. Seuss is wonderful for teaching English speakers, because they know a wocket is not a real animal. But when you say I have a wocket in my pocket, they're trying to figure out in Spanish what is a wocket, you know. It doesn't help. So picking text is really important. Now we've got a real advantage because according to the ESL teacher, most of our students are at grade level in Spanish. So that's super important, because once you learn to read, all those reading skills that, you know, text goes left to right in most languages. And in Spanish, it's the same alphabet, slightly different sounds, but it's the same alphabet. They know that those shapes have meaning. They know that they can assign a sound to those. So all those basic understandings are there when they know how to read in their first language. So that means that you can carry those over. So it's not a matter of having to teach them how, some words are different and some things like the silent E in Spanish is easy to read because every letter has a sound, it always has the same sound, and every letter makes a sound, except for H. So, but in English, you know, there's a silent E. There are all those kinds of things that are different for them. But we have a real advantage when they're at grade level in Spanish. They've got concepts that you can pull in. They've got all these things that you can do. So if you keep those things in your head, what I've done is I went through all your books and I picked books that I thought were at a low level. And I picked books that had pictures that supported the text. I picked books that didn't have so many words they couldn't read it without it.
Right.
So what I did for each book is I made a lesson plan that has 3 parts. Now, when I first took a reading course, they said before, during, and after reading, right? Before, during, and after. And I thought, well, okay, I do something before, something during, something after. It made no sense. But then one professor said, you bring them into the book, you bring them through the book, you bring them beyond the book. And then it all made sense to me. Because what are you doing? You're trying to figure out what do they need to get into that text? What do they need to get through the text? And how can I bring them beyond the text? So, that makes sense. So I did this for all the books. And all of them have some kind of vocabulary. So the vocabulary will be at the top. Most of them have vocabulary cards. So in this case, this book is called Dog and Cat in the Garden. And it's cute. It's got pictures. What I liked about it is it's got labels.
Oh, yeah.
And a couple of the other books do. It's very repetitive. It's a story that's cute and simple. And the pictures match the story. So it says dog and cat, and there is a dog and cat.
Yeah, right, not cat dog.
Yeah, well, but it's, you know, sometimes you get these books, they got beautiful pictures, but the story doesn't match the picture, and there's nothing you can do with it. So what I would do first is present the vocabulary. So garden, grow, They call it mint candy, and it's because they don't want to teach the word peppermint because that's too high for this level. So mint candy. Smell, tomato, plant, So that's all. So what I would do with the kids is I would say, here's a garden, and we would read the word garden, and we'd see that this is the garden. Grow. And so I'd go through carefully with the word several times, reading it with them, and then having them read it alone. Because now, if they can read that, that's a big part of the book. Then what I might do is I might mix the words up and say, take a word, and they pick a word and they have to match it with the thing. You know, just kind of play around with that. So I find that flashcards, you can do tons of things with them. And so I have some of the things here that you could do. But if you can think of other things you want to do, play around with it, that's great. So you've introduced the vocabulary. You might ask them if they've ever had a garden, depending on their level.
Yeah, and that could be very common with them too.
Yeah, or not, and ask them what they would like to eat in a garden, what do they think grows in a garden. And there again, that comes into the levels. If they're silent receptive, they're just reading garden and doing that. If they're into the upper, I guess it'd be upper levels, then talking about a garden, what grows in a garden. If they say Zanoria, orange, and you say, oh, that's a carrot. And you might, I don't know if you can draw a picture, but you might draw a picture of it. So you can draw out of them vocabulary as well, and that's what the whiteboards are for, is as you're working you're also listening and drawing out what they know, and you're writing it down, because maybe they know carrot, but maybe they've never read carrot.
Right.
So now you say carrot, so now you're reading the word carrot.
Mhm.
And then maybe that will come in another time, and maybe as you read, you're gonna find carrot.
Yeah.
So then, once you've got that to the point where you think that when they see the word garden, they're gonna be able to say garden, then you're gonna read the story. You can read it with them, you could read it to them, but basically dog and cat are friends. Dog and cat are in the garden. So here's the garden. There's dog and there's cat. What do you see in the garden? You can talk about things that you see in the garden. They are looking at carrot plants. They see rabbit. Dog and cat look again. They see a pumpkin and lettuce. They see a few roses. Rabbit has planted a big garden.
That's one of the things my niece, who's a teacher, said, you know, I was reading with my granddaughter, and she says, when you're sitting there, there's only a few words, let her look at the picture. Just
Mhm.
look at the picture and tell her what does she see in
Mhm.
the picture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let her describe it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And every time, if they say tree, write the word tree down and draw a picture or whatever. Cloud, what else do you
Yeah.
see in the picture? What color is the pumpkin? Oh, that pumpkin is orange, So you're drawing out vocabulary that they have, and if they don't have it, you might supply it, because they have it in their native
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
So they're probably struggling to how to say it, and you can supply it and then write it down, so it's there for them to work with. Dog loves the smell, and what you can do then is have these cards out, and you can point to smell. Smell of mint, he wants to plant mint candy, he wants the candy to grow. There's mint candy. Cat wants to plant too, he loves the smell of tomatoes, she wants to plant tomato juice. And by this time, hopefully they're laughing.
Yes.
If they're not laughing, maybe they don't get it.
Go back and
Yeah,
do some
yeah.
more prep work.
Rabbit says, "Stop, dog, do not plant mint candy. Candy will not grow, this mint plant will not grow." And so you can then point to the picture of grow. Rabbit says, "Stop, cat." So you see how repetitive it is? And that's really helpful to have repetitive language. Do not plant tomato juice, you do not plant. Juice will not grow, this tomato plant will grow. So he's giving the plant, you can say tomato plant. And plant
I
is,
like that he's using his hand stop.
yeah, so it's very, dog plants mint, cat plants tomatoes, soon mint grows, soon tomatoes grow, dog can smell the mint, cat can smell the tomatoes, everyone is happy. So that's the whole story, really simple. And what I try to do is pick out enough words that even if they don't know the other words, they're seeing words that they know,
Right.
and you can help them through the other words. It's grammatically correct, so they're seeing the right type of grammar. And so that's the way I would read it through, and then maybe I would say, okay, now you read it with me, and we'd read it together. And then we'd look some more, and maybe we talk some more, and they say, okay, now you read it to me. So you're not putting them on the spot the first time.
Right.
And maybe if they're upper level, maybe you say, would you read this? And then we'll talk about it. So you kind of have to know who your audience is. One of the teachers I teach with in the adult class says, I watch their faces. And she's an expert at the one-on-one. No matter what level I put her with, she can handle it because she watches their face. She knows when they're confused, she knows when they're bored,
Wow.
just by watching their face. And you'll be able to do that with kids too. I watch their faces. So then once you've done this,
1 second, I gotta get a drink of water.
okay.
Sam, I apologize.
That's okay. So this is really similar to teaching reading.
It
Yeah.
is, it
But the
is.
difference is that meaning.
Uh-huh.
It's gotta have
Uh-huh.
meaning.
Yeah.
Because an English speaker would read this and say, oh, that's funny. But a Spanish speaker, unless they know what these things mean, although the pictures in this book are very good. They've got
Yeah.
the juice and they've got the candy.
Yeah.
And you could tell that they're gonna plant it because they got the hole there. So this is a little more, But as they get more and more advanced, they've gotta have that meaning, yeah. So some things that I would do to extend it, to go beyond, you could say, write this sentence, there are in the garden. And then you can say, there are in the garden. What's in the garden? And you could look at the pictures and you could say, what is in the garden? There are carrots in the garden. And then you could fill in, and then read it with them. There are carrots in the garden. What else do you see? And so you can have, because what they really want them to do, this program that the ESL teacher showed us, is they get all the way to writing. That really, these, and speech emergent is not ready for a lot of things, but they're really forcing them into that literacy thing. So, yeah. So I would say write this and maybe have them copy it, although I don't know that there's that much value in that, but
Yeah.
that's what she does. But there are carrots in the garden. There is lettuce in the garden. So I would try to be grammatically correct. They might say there are lettuce in the garden. That's fine. There are pumpkin in the garden. If they're not ready for that, you could say, oh, I'm going to change that. Let's do is. There is lettuce. And you get into all kinds of difficulties because there is a pumpkin in the garden. So I wouldn't worry about that so much in the lower levels. You can correct it, you can make it but if you go too far, they're gonna get totally confused. There is a carrots in the garden, because if they're able to say this and to construct this, I'm good with that. You can go, do you like carrots? And yes, I like carrots. No, I don't like carrots. And you could even write that, yes, I like, no, I don't. So as a cue.
Yeah.
And so, do you like carrots? They go. So you'd say, oh, no, I don't like carrots. So again, you're teaching the sentence structure. And that's something that's important because do you like, yes, I like, no, I don't, can be a sentence structure that they can use in other circumstances. So then you could look about, try to find as many vocabulary words as you can. Oh, let's see, are there friends? Garden, I see garden. So garden, there I see garden. Plant, I see plant. So you can go through and just look for, if they're really low level, you can just look for the familiar words. So that's kind of what I made up for this one.
That's awesome.
And it's similar to the other ones I did, because I tried to keep the structure the same so that you could just, my thought is you have a mentor and you have a kid and you say, okay, do dog and cat today. And you just hand them this and a whiteboard and a marker and out they go. So I have that for a bunch of things.
And you said you found a lot of books like this, huh?
Well, I did.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and, they're really, here's my new pet. See, that's the same, I don't know much about it, but that's the same. And I have 2 copies of my new pet. And that's really simple, new pet, dog, lick, eat, run, chase, grass, love. People work.
This is so awesome, I can put this together.
Wow, this
It's
took
time
some
to get in
time.
line. Yeah, well, when you're retired, what are you gonna do? My big move. So these, I think, are probably first level. They're at about this level, and some of them are a little bit lower. So that would be, you could use that with a silent receptive, I think. And you might do more of the work, but I think you could, you could get a few words out of them, and so I think that would work.
So do you think we should, how are you making these different than the next level? Should we put?
Well, put a 1 in
yeah,
there.
say, okay.
Yeah,
On
so,
this side.
I thought, well, I could color code it.
Yeah.
And then
That was what I was thinking too. Anything to keep it simple.
this is a number poem that I think you could use with ones or twos. And basically, it's, what I would do with this is I would actually make a copy the kid could take home.
Oh, okay.
So then you could write on it and circle it or whatever. So here I would go through the worksheet first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many frogs? 1, 2, 3. How many robots? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 robots. You know, just a simple thing like that. And then maybe look around the room. There are, you know, I don't know what there are 2 of or 3 of in the room. There are 3 books. How many chairs? 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, so
Right,
just
something they can identify.
something that's right there and physical. And then the poem is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I caught a fish alive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I let it go again. Where did you let it go? Bit my finger so. Which finger did it bite? Little finger on the right. So, you know, it's just a real simple
Yeah.
poem. And then I would act it out, you know, finger. And what I liked about this is there's a fish. So you can point to the fish. I caught a fish. I let it go, you know, those kinds of things. And you can act it out. You can read it with the kid and have them act it out. You can have them read it together. You know, you could chant it together if you want to. And then I have number cards here. So you could have them read the words and match the numbers. Because they may know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do they know the word 1? So, you know, you can match the number with the word. You know, they're in there. You can play concentration with the cards. You can lay it down.
That's what I was just,
They
as you
pull
were
a-
doing that,
They
that's
pull a
what-
6 and they have to find the word that makes 6. You can play Go Fish with the cards. An Uno deck is better for fish. You can play Hangman with the number words.
They love hanging.
Oh my gosh, do they ever. You can play Hangman on there, so you don't have to have them up on there.
Yeah.
You can use these to count. You can say how many of these are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Find the word 5. What you're trying to do is just play with the numbers and the words, and again, you want meaningful repetitions. And how do you do that where it's not boring? You just kind of keep playing and playing and playing with it. So I've got that, and I think that's a 1 or 2 level. It's kind of moving up a little bit, maybe. I don't know. And then I have some poems. I got 2 poems that are on the same subject, and so you, depending on the level of kid, you could use one or the other. Your days of the week, which is another thing that ESL teachers teach. So one of them, on Monday I'm sleepy, on Tuesday I'm glad, Wednesday I'm happy, Thursday sad, Friday I'm tired, I don't want to work, Saturday and Sunday I go for a walk. So that would be maybe a lower level. And I have the days of the week there, so you could teach the days of the week first. Show the cards, read the days to them, make them read it, shuffle them, have them read it, you can have them put them in order. Then the younger levels look at this one, and the pictures, I'm sleepy. You know, so the pictures again match the thing. The other poem is a little more complex.
Well, just for them to be able to touch and handle and put where they think. and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
part of the learning.
Busy on Monday, reading a book. Busy on Tuesday, helping to cook. Busy on Wednesday, letters to write. Flying my kite, riding my bike, taking a hike, singing a song. Busy all the way. So this would be for a higher level. But it's still the same idea. So I think this lesson would work for either one. And then the extension, and I'll go back in so are you sleepy, when are you sleepy, I'm sleepy at night, when are you glad, when are you happy? You can always shuffle the cards and play the game. Then I have this game.
She threw one in there.
I found this online.
I could spend so many hours online just looking for stuff.
Oh, I know. It's a coin flip where you pick a card Thursday and you flip and try to get it onto Thursday.
Oh,
that's
So-
a great idea.
Yeah, so they have to read it
Yeah.
and they have to you have to find it on here.
Mhm.
And then they have to try to flip it on there, and if they miss, they don't get the points, and if they hit it, they get the points. And I think there are a couple, here's a Thursday that's worth 6, and here's one that's worth 3, so.
Okay.
So anyway,
That's
there's a
cute.
game they can play with
Yeah.
that too. So I tried to, as much as possible, find ways for them to extend it and still
Mhm.
have kind of a fun time
Oh,
with
yeah.
it.
Well, that's
So-
great. I mean,
That's that.
what came to my mind with that game was Frogger, because I know Leon Boogie had a whole bunch of little Frogger, and you just go like this. And it
Oh,
pops
that would
something.
be perfect.
So I think,
Yeah,
it
they say you're supposed to, and it'd be like Tiddlywinks, I think.
yeah,
But
okay.
I tried to do that with a coin, and I couldn't make it work, but,
Just something that would motivate people, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, there's that.
That's something.
Gave you a couple Uno decks,
Oh, did you?
because Uno is amazing for teaching numbers.
Oh, okay, good.
I take the weird cards out.
Forward, backwards.
Yeah, because they get to that and they don't know what's going on. But you can do so many things with it. I would first make sure they can count in English. And that I'm working with a woman from Rwanda right now who has never seen the numbers. And she's good, but like she can do it in order.
Mhm.
But if you give her a 5, she has to count up to get to 5.
Oh, okay.
So I would first do the numbers,
Mhm.
and then do a thing like pull a number, and can you say what that number is, just to practice, because going just plain no order at all is really difficult.
So to start with, you have your numbers to 5 or something, and then you go to 10, or?
Well, what I've done with my adults is I've just laid out all, hold up. I just lay them out, what I did today, 0 through 9.
Oh.
And then I can pull a 1 and say 10, 11, 12, and then pull out a 2, 20. But I would start with 1 through 10,
Okay. Okay.
and just do those first. And if they got those, then I would go on
Yeah.
to 11 and stuff like that. You can play, Uno isn't such a great game for numbers because they don't have to know the number.
Mhm.
They just have to know the shape and the color. So what I do with Uno cards is I play Go Fish. And Go Fish is my favorite
Oh,
game
yeah.
because they have to talk.
Uh-huh.
And so you get these, I have these adults that can barely speak English and they say, no, go fish.
That's good.
It's difficult sometimes to get the concept of how you play Go Fish. So it helps to have another adult to model it. And I do a lot of that. But because you have to talk and because you have to ask for something that's in your hand,
Yeah.
it's different than just laying down a card that matches.
Yeah.
Right.
If you do play Uno, I would have them lay down the card and say the number, because you want to get that
Right.
figure. Otherwise, they're just matching shapes. So there's Uno cards, and there's activities you can do with them.
All of this is, I want a receipt.
What?
I want a receipt.
I'll look for it. It's no big deal.
Anyways.
I always think it's weird that you would donate to a church and then get your money back out of it.
You know what, no, but
No sense
this
to me.
is donated to the church too. You know, and it's just,
I also have number bingo.
and they love
They love bingo.
Yes.
So I have the call numbers, and I have some cards, and there's some markers for you. I have a couple others that are higher level. What else do I have here? These are alphabets.
Okay.
So I do the alphabet, lay it out, and I use the short sounds,
Okay.
because they're, the short vowel sounds can be, now, these are set for that, so alligator, alligator. So all these have the short sounds on them. If they've never, like our kindergartners, this is a good just trace over it, and they can just use a marker, trace over it, and you can erase it.
I agree.
So that's a good one. What you could do is make copies of that and then send it home with them so they can practice.
Oh, yeah.
So there's some of those for you.
Excellent.
I do things with the alphabet, I'll do the whole alphabet, and then I'll do like b, a, d, bad, b, ad, bad. And then change the A to an E and just go through all the vowels.
Okay.
And if they're literate in first language, it's a breeze. If they're not, it's a struggle, but it's a struggle that's worth doing. So that's another thing I do with it. And I've got a list here of things that you can do with that. I have a couple other lesson plans for the higher levels. This is on opposites. Opposites are really good because you need to hook words together. If you just have random words, it has no meaning. But if you hook yes with no, stop with go, fast and slow, so these are all opposites. And then I have all the cards so you can match the opposites and things like that. So that's a good one for the higher levels, I think. And
We
this
had 2 on this, is it?
yeah, that would be my highest level.
Okay.
If it turns out that the kids are higher than you think, then we've got a ton of books that we can use.
Okay.
And I'll, just tell me what you need and I'll figure it out. This is another thing that ESL teachers teach is rooms in the house. Why is that so important? I don't know, but they teach rooms in the house.
Well, just where do you sleep, in this bedroom? Where do you eat in the kitchen?
So these are dining room. I have all the rooms, the action, sleep, eat, cook, bathtub and table. So these have pictures with them. These don't, but I have a house.
Okay.
And so you would say dining room, where's that? This is the
Yeah.
dining, so you do that, and here's a backyard and a garage. And this is the greatest book. We want to eat dinner at my house? Okay, we can eat dinner in the bathtub. Bathtub? Why do you eat dinner, why do you do that? You should eat in the dining room. We sleep in the dining room. So they do things in the wrong rooms.
Oh.
Where do you cook? Don't you cook in the kitchen? No, but so,
Yeah.
and then in the end, the kid says, well, I have to go home and set the table. And he says, what table? The one in the dining room. Your family eats in the dining room? You're different. So if the kids get it, it'll be funny. If
Yeah.
they don't get it, you'll know that they didn't get it.
Yeah.
Right, no, that's cool.
So there's that, and then I eat dinner and you can ask them where they eat dinner, so you can, where do you take a bath, so you can do all those kinds of things. So the idea is just to make it meaningful, make them, teach the words so that when they see them, they can read it,
Right.
and then bring them beyond there in some way. So that's that.
Okay.
So that's
wonderful.
everything I gave
Where do you
you.
get these from?
These are, if you go to Home Depot and you go to the bathroom section, this is shower board.
Oh, okay.
So you just take a piece of shower board and you hand it to your husband and you say, I need them this size by this size, and they cut them into that size.
Okay,
So,
cool.
yeah, I did this for my ESL class and then we never use them because we have other ones, so I
So
brought them.
I'm thinking we'll probably need them for, well, not you, I know all about Home Depot, so, but for the moms.
Oh,
If
that
the
would be
moms
really good.
come, they'll want these too.
Yeah,
They'll
so
be
I
demanding.
have a set of them here.
Thank you.
And they're yours. If you need more, Jim has a saw that he never uses. It would be good to get him going with it.
Okay, so if I should bring it to you.
Yeah, you tell me when you need them and what size you want,
Okay.
and I'll make them, I'll put them to work.
This is so
So,
wonderful.
yeah, that's it.
It really
That's all I
is.
got. But I'm trying to make it so that you know, your Meredith girls could just walk in, you could hand them something.
And they
go.
can, you know,
Yeah.
now that I see this, they can.
Yeah.
I'm
And
so
I think
sorry.
some of them
That
are
is
just
my
so
cell
intimidating.
phone.
Well, yeah,
And-
well, people, if you're not used to dealing with people of other languages,
Hey, Carl.
you think there's a barrier. Well,
Yeah.
there's no barrier,
Yeah,
there's
I'm
just a
dealing with
language
them.
difference,
We're,
and,
we're
um,
winding
Right,
up.
and, but they're going, this
I'll
is
be
what
gone.
they're going in the
10
social
minutes.
services, or they're going in
Right.
teaching, it's like,
right,
this is what you need, you
right,
know?
right. So, yeah, so this will start, I think that'll get you going.
That's wonderful, no, this
And
is so
then,
good.
I
So
still
good.
have all the other books that you have.
Yeah.
And I found some others in my ESL group that I don't use, so I brought
Okay.
them. So I can make up more as you go along, or you
Okay.
might find out, we need level 3, these are too low. You might say, we'll never need a level 2, they're all level 1 and always
Right.
will be. So, yeah, just let me know what you need,
Wow.
and
Appreciate it so
I'll
much.
leave that with you too, if you wanna,
This is
Those
just
are the- more notes.
more than enough, oh my goodness.
Well, I
Yeah,
have
can
no
I
idea.
have an extra one of those?